Hey there, Juan Morales here, and in today's episode we're going to cover something that I think is very powerful. I wanted to make a special episode for this because I want to talk today about gratitude and why being grateful is so important, especially when you're trying to achieve something and you keep fighting or hustling or grinding or whatever the thing is, because we tend to lose sight of that gratitude and that sense of being grateful for what we've already achieved, because we think that we need to propel ourselves forward by thinking in terms of lack. So one of the ways that I saw in myself to get motivated to do things is to always think it wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't ready. It wasn't whatever. So it's not enough. Whatever results I would get, it's not enough. And while that technique is good, I mean, it obviously helps people achieve more, and it helped me certainly achieve more. But at the end of the day, it leaves you with this empty feeling of constantly seeking, but never getting to anything, never arriving. And that over time leads to burnout, leads to feeling overstressed, overworked, because you can't think straight. Because you're so needing to get that result and chasing and seeking that you've lost sight of all your tools, everything else that you had. You became focused obsessively on just achieving that particular goal and not even giving you any credit for it. That's why, and I've had this happen recently with a couple of clients, that at least one of them, we had a call and they told me that they had lost weight, that they weren't sleeping that great, that they weren't doing very well health-wise. And it's because this person became completely consumed with the pursuit of the goal. And even when I was talking to that person on the phone, all they could talk about was the goal itself. So I stopped them mid-conversation and I say, "What are you grateful for right now?" And his reply immediately was something along the lines of, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "What are you grateful for right now? Tell me, what are you grateful for right now?" And this person, who's a very accomplished speaker, author, expert, was at a loss for words, because I knew exactly what was happening. He had forgotten to be grateful for what he already had. And this is what happens when we run away from gratitude or not practice it regularly. So my conversation with this person was because they were stuck and they were frustrated in that point because things were not going as they planned and they just couldn't see it. And what happens? Most of us, when we're stuck and we can't see it, what we do is we double down on our efforts. We go harder. We put more time into it. We push ourselves. Sometimes that works, let's be honest, right? Sometimes that works, and especially if it's a lazy thing that we're running up against, where it's like, I'm being lazy and then I need to push myself in order to get action. Well, yeah, of course that works in that way. But there's other situations where the action isn't really what the problem is, right? Lack of action is not where your problem lies right there. As a matter of fact, what the real problem is a lack of the right actions. And part of that is because at that point, you're so stuck on acting on whatever you have in front of you that you're always taking action, and that's leading to becoming very inefficient because you're trying things without really thinking through what the action is going to be and where it's going to lead you to. So we're constantly in that battle of trying to achieve that goal, but then feeling that frustration and all these things happening. Now, let me go back to that call that I had with the client. Now, my client, when I ask him this, he immediately stops because he doesn't know what the answer is. And now he starts to wonder himself, what am I grateful for? So he starts with the basics, right? With the most fundamental things, including stuff like, hey, I'm alive today, I'm breathing today, I'm doing these things today, I have these people today. And I started noticing something happening right in that call as he was listing these things. It wasn't that he was reading a list, he was coming up with them. And he just kept listing and listing and listing. Now, I'm not going to exaggerate and tell you that this went on for a half hour, because it didn't. This probably took like 5 minutes. But after that happened and this person was in that grateful state, and they were feeling that gratitude for everything they had accomplished so far, it felt like he had renewed himself. Because after we got off that topic, and then we put the attention back to the problem that he was running up against, it became instantly apparent to him what he needed to tweak. See, the problem was that he couldn't see it because he was blinded by the emotion and the pursuit of winning. It's like being a bull and getting the bullfighter to put that red flag in front of you, and you just chase the red flag. That's how we behave a lot, especially when we are high achievers, achieving other things. We just chase the next thing. What's the next mountain I need to climb? What's the next thing I need to do? But many times what happens is when we start developing that frustration of feeling it's not working the way I want it to, it's not going in a particular direction as I want it to, what we think is there's a lack of effort happening. And we double down on our effort and we work harder and put in more hours. But at the same time, we can't figure out why it doesn't work. And it's because we're putting all those hours and we're putting all that time into something that is just an action that we know we should execute, but we don't know if that's the best action for us to execute at that moment. And I have found through that client, other clients, and my own experience, that so many times when I'm at a loss and I don't know what to do, I go back to becoming grateful. Because the reason I'm not seeing it is because I'm operating from lack. I'm operating from this sense of it's out there and I don't have it yet. When I have it, everything's going to be good. Because I don't have it, everything's not good right now. And that puts me at a loss. It's not a great strategic vantage point to create anything that I want to create. And as an entrepreneur, it's just not a good place to operate from. But once you shift to gratitude and you're thinking all the things that you're grateful for now, and you're looking at all the abundance you have in your life, well, guess what happens? All of those lack ideas start to vanish because they can't hold, right? Darkness cannot hold where there's light. It just doesn't. It cannot. So if you think about it, the moment that you become grateful for being here today, listening to my voice as I'm talking to you right now, paying attention to something that is important to your business, finally getting a solution, right? Like you keep adding and stacking more and more of these things that you're grateful for. And what happens is a lot of what's blinding you starts to give in, starts to recede. And all of a sudden, you can see where you couldn't see before. It's like the answers become obvious. But that's why. Because we've lost sight of who we are. And I started noticing this pattern even in movies. How many movies have that remember who you are pattern built into them? So many of them are about remembering who you are. Right? Don't forget who you are. So again, when you're struggling to achieve your goals and you keep overworking and overdoing it and trying more and more and putting more hours, stop investing your time into actions and start investing your time into what can give you the right action for you to follow. And the way to do that is to use gratitude. You stop, you start writing stuff down. And it's for yourself, it's not for anybody else, but you start writing down what you're grateful for in this moment, right now. And if you can't feel it, good. Good. That just means that you put the attention on it, so there's more growth for you there. Right? If it's hard for you specifically to think of like things that you're grateful for, good. Because that means that you're going to get there, but it's like you're cracking the shell open for that to come through. And you have to do it. And it will be hard at first. After a while, you'll get used to it all the time. And when you live from there, you live from a state of abundance. But at the beginning, it's very hard, especially if you haven't done this exercise in a while. So sit down and do it. I guarantee you those 5 to 7 minutes will save you so much grief and so much time and so much effort and so much needless pain that you are going to go through just because you decided to stop, look around, and be grateful for everything that has already happened to you and all the situations that led you to being where you are today. So again, stop just acting. Start looking for the right action to do. And to change this, use gratitude. It always works. Till next time, this is Juan Morales signing out. I'll see you on the next one.